Okay, people, so now this is my third video for the day. Okay, April 3rd, 2020. Alright, I did the one there, you know, with me talking to the funeral director, right? And then John called me. Put that online, people. People have a right to know what's going on. I'm still in the dark. They're still in the dark, right? I'm not under arrest, right? If they have my phone on spyware right now, in terms of if they're listening to my conversations on my Winnie the Pooh phone. Okay, this is my phone, people. Do you see? Can you hear? That's what I use. So when you hear the phone ring, that's Winnie the Pooh. Right? Make sure it's plugged in right, because sometimes when I move the phone, the ringer goes off. Or it's not sitting proper on the cradle. So anyway, if my phone is tapped, then we'll find out, because by law, the cops have to get a fucking, what is it called? Warrant to do so. And if they don't want me to do shit, in terms of not talking, well, then they can charge me with something and I'll become a political prisoner. That's what will happen, people. Okay? But in the meantime, I'm like very nervous, okay? Now, mind you, I worked 2 days outside in kind of bad weather, right? So I'm a little overstimulated from that. I think I'm just going to call it a day and just focus on being a grandmother to my grandchildren and finish up with my little food products, right? Because in the real world, we're millions, tens of millions, and if you want to take it to the States, hundreds of millions of people are basically being forced into their houses and, you know, with limited this and limited that, no means to make any money, right? And they're like, I can only imagine the real stories that are out there in terms of maybe being starved out of their houses, people. Not everybody had 10 years to do food prep like me. Okay? Everybody just, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, and it's the system to do this kind of stuff. So anyway, in the meantime, you know, for the ones that are listening and just want to build on their food security within their house with limited resources and limited access to food, let's just say you go to the grocery store and there's half the shelves are empty, okay? But there's milk and there's yogurt, plain yogurt. But you don't want to buy a lot of yogurt. You would prefer to maybe make yogurt, assuming that you can buy more than one jug of milk. But then if you only allowed one, that's when you go back the next day and buy another one to make the yogurt. What I'm trying to say is you can make your own yogurt and freeze it. And then this way, even in hard times, you're still building in that food security, right? Because we don't know what's going on, because it's already being said by many people that if the economy stays on lockdown for another week or two, in terms of this coronavirus, with people not being able to do their regular jobs, it's going to put the economy into some kind of tailspin that it might not be able to recover from, because just too many people are involved. However, the underground economy is flourishing, people. And this is why I'm pushing hard back on these videos, because I've witnessed the underground economy already through the incidences that have happened over the years to my own family. And it just so happened I founded a nonprofit that made me a community activist for the community. I didn't become a community activist to prop up cops or to prop up the government. I became, by default, through the foundation and raising 5 kids and just doing everything else that I do in a day for the community. So therefore, I'm going to keep pushing back until I'm arrested and forced to shut up. They'd have to lock me up, people, before they could fucking shut me up, okay? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people facing starvation as they're being asked to stay in their homes, and they have no recourse to build them, to not build, but to, crawl up out of this bankruptcy that they're being forced in by the very people who facilitate the underground economy through those tax dollars with their sleeper cells within our government agencies that are going around harvesting old people for their money. We've seen it with Uncle John, right? Propping up their various ministries or whatever through child protective services. This is nothing new, right? Obviously, legal organ harvesting, right? Which in British Columbia, Canada, I've shown you is on complete lockdown. Now, Ashley, I think it was Ashley who posted the link to an article that was written in 2000, well, it was a little news article, right? That was from 2013, where the coroner office had lost 32% of their funding and something like 11 coroners, right? Because of the BC Liberal government cutbacks, all right? And of course, there was a trickle-down effect on that. And at the same time, now, I don't know when the legislation was brought in where doctors were denied the ability to do autopsies, because when that happened, what happened is it became a government default, that cartel that knows what goes out and what comes in. Well, first it comes in and then it goes out. So there's nobody there to fact check the government when it comes to autopsies. As the government, and this is typical BC Liberal, sort of like a Republican fucking political agenda, because as they were chopping off funding for here and chopping off funding for there and chopping off funding for over here, they shut down courthouses, they shut down legal aid offices, people, they limited who qualified for legal aid, right? Lots of funding was cut, and then they turned around and they apparently in 2013, they cut the funding, because that's the BC Liberal government was in power then. They cut the funding for the coroner's office. Now, whether that lockdown in terms of only the coroner could do autopsies, or, whether it was before that where, doctors used to do it. Because in that interview, you had a doctor specifically say that, at some point, the government, the BC, British Columbia, Canada government made it so that independent doctors couldn't do autopsies. Well, you fast track 5, 10, 15 years later where we are right now. Now we know why, people, because I can't find an independent pathologist to do an autopsy on Ciera. Okay? And before I will officially bury Ciera, I want to see her body front and back, naked, and I want to be able to take pictures. And I want it in writing before I show up to do anything. So if the funeral home can't give it to me in writing, that they will give me permission to do that. Because this is a human right issue, something that we don't have in Canada. We don't have real civil right, human right lawyers, okay? But if whatever funeral home I go with, it doesn't matter, right? If they can't give it to me in writing before I show up, that I can do that, then I won't be burying Ciera. So what? Is the coroner going to come in and override me because somewhere in some legislation it says that she now has the right to bury my daughter because I'm, bucking the bullet? I'm putting my heels into the ground, right? Because I don't want to be bamboozled. I don't want to see Ciera go without justice any more than see ShaMay go without justice. Okay? Those are my problems. Those are the problems that I'm faced with. I don't know what kind of problems John's faced with in terms of that phone call. But, No cop has come to me and tell me I can't talk. And if they want to come to me and tell me I can't talk, then they might as well fucking arrest me and put me in jail where I can't talk. And that would mean they would have to put me in isolation, people. And then we're going to have to find out what the fuck it was that I did wrong. Okay? But in the meantime, I'm not going to worry about that. What I'm going to worry about is taking care of this yogurt. Now, this is the one that I did in that blue thing, which, before I retire this one, I am going to make sure that it's not working for me. So in other words, before I retire it, I'm going to go buy a fresh, brand new jug of milk, fresh yogurt, and I'm going to try it one more time, directions, and if it doesn't work, that one I just put away in storage and save it for a rainy day that might never come. Outside of that, I like these little ones that come in with the heat underneath. Now, mind you, I did use, and actually, I did use I used that other yogurt, but from what I can tell, I just want to feel normal right now, okay? From what I can tell, it worked out pretty good. So I'm going to put it in a bowl and I'm going to show you. Okay? Because this is something that you can do one way or another. Okay? Google how to make yogurt without a yogurt making machine. I'm sure there's plenty of ideas. Now this one's frozen. Okay? I just froze this one as is. You can see it froze up really nice. This one was the first batch that I made that kind of was creamy. It tasted really, really creamy, but it was not very thick. But for a dessert, after it unthaws a bit, little slushy, you notice I put the peaches on the bottom. You can see that. This will be really good for Amari. Now, in terms of the actual yogurt itself, this is what I have to do today. I'm going to take this yogurt. You can see, look at that. I'd say that was a successful batch of yogurt. Okay, so I'm going to put it in a bowl. I'm not too sure how I'm going to do this yet. Okay, and then I'll have my peaches out and I'll strain them, right? And then I have these little cups here. See, I already washed a fresh set. I told you I had more than one set, right? So these ones are clean. These ones are clean. I'm going to drain all the peaches. I'm going to fill these up with peaches, and then I'm going to come along with these things that are already done, and I'm going to pour this on top of the peach, right? And then I'm going to put the lid back on, and I'm going to freeze them, because if you notice, it freezed really, really well. So, I want you guys to start doing that for yourself. Alright? No matter how scared, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, you go off and you start finding ways to do little things like this for yourself to build in that food security. Because I don't know, like, I'm not a doctor. I can't really say how serious this coronavirus is. People die all the time for different reasons. Flu kills tens of thousands of people every year. You go online, you Google the flu, they have like 600,000 people in the United States going through the hospitals because of the flu prior to the coronavirus every fucking year, you know. So like this is really nothing new outside of that. The coronavirus, what it does is it attaches to your lungs, and because it has little hooks, this is how I'm led to believe, right? Because it attaches itself with little hooks. That's what makes it hard for people to recuperate. But you know, there's we're in shady times, people. Like serious, we're in shady times. That's just an excuse to isolate people so that the criminals that are running the underground economy can do what they want with these bodies as they're coming in and being isolated away from their families. right? Uncle John is the perfect example. ShaMay, well, you know, what they did to her pretty much isolated the family from her, right? Ciera, you just seen it, right? Andre just up and disappears from a daycare, right? You seen that? So, I'm also going to go downstairs today in the next little while, and I'm going to shred another bag of carrots because I don't want the carrots to spoil. There's still 4 bags in there. Technically, I should at least shred 2 more. And then this way, we know we have it. So when you go out shopping, if you can buy more than 1 bag of carrots, you know, you do that. You shred them and you dehydrate them. Whether you dehydrate in your oven or whether you dehydrate in your dehydrator. Because currently, we don't know what's going on. Right? People are going into serious panic mode here if the economy, if the mainstream economy crashes to the point where it's going to be that hard, so hard to recover from it. You just have to understand that the underground economy is flourishing and really nobody's going to give a shit about you. Okay, so you got to find that extra bag of this and that extra bag of that just to build in a little extra food security every time you go out shopping. And when this pressure cooker breaks, right, you know, there's not going to be no, you know, you're not losing. You're not losing because it will still be there. You'll have it, right? And because it stays like the old wise woman. You go to the old wise woman, the little old lady, right? And what does she have in her house? She has a little dried this and a little dried that. A little dried this. This is red onions that I bought in a bag that was discount for $1. Now I got red onions all over the place, but for $1 I couldn't refuse it. And like, oh my God, these things smell so good. Tastes so good. You get my point, right? Even dehydrate yourself some onions. Onions have what is it called? Antioxidants. The darker the onion, in terms of red onion, the more antioxidant. But any kind of onion is an antioxidant and a virus killer. Did you know if you have a cold, I haven't really tried this, but this is an old wives' trick, right? If you have a cold, congestion, that type of thing, okay? And maybe if people are struggling with colds and that type of thing, they might want to try it. And if they try it and it works, come back and let me know. Because you're in the bedroom, you're in bed, right? What you do is you take just regular old onions, yellow onions, or whatever onions you have, and you slice them, and you put them on a bowl or whatever it is, plate, and you put them kind of where in the room where you're sleeping, right? So that those antioxidant properties actually go into the air itself, right? You put it kind of close to the person, right, where they're sleeping. And I think you even put some under their feet with some socks on, okay? And that will help to ward off the virus, whatever virus it is that you have in terms of a cold or a flu or whatever. And it will actually break, I've been told, it will actually break the cycle of this thing replicating in terms of a virus. You might have to do it for 1 or 2 nights or 3, but at the end of the day, I hear it works. So maybe that's something people might want to consider. So next time you go out shopping, pick up a few extra onions and just keep them on hand. And for anything that's a surplus, by all means, dehydrate them, okay? So let me get on with this, and then I'm going to show you my little peach fest. And I'm going to keep this video. I don't think I'm going to type today, people. I'm too fucking nervous. I'm waiting to get arrested. What's new, right? Like, all I want is the truth, people. That's all. Look, I'm not out to demonize anybody. Ciera had her own demons, okay? So many times we worried about her dying either in the basement when she was allowed down there because the kids let her spend 2015 in there, 2000 and, or was it 16, 15, 16, you know, I mean, go into my videos, you can see Ciera's always been around, right? 2017 was the year when she couldn't spend any more time in the basement because you'd come into the kitchen and there would be Ciera and you'd be calling 911, right? Or whatever, many times we called. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, people, if she actually OD'd, because it could have happened on my own property, whether it was inside or whether it was outside. So I'm not trying to say that this man did anything wrong, okay? I just don't like how things are unfolding for whatever reason, okay? And then when he phones me up with shit like that, all right, I mean, like, he's still humming and hawing and hooing and, you know, and saying, I'm the one that's playing games? Yeah, okay. I'm not playing games, people. What was I doing before this all started? Right? I was doing this stuff. You know, I'm trying to hold the fort down for my grandkids and for my kids. I'm trying to not be a heavy burden on my government to the best of my ability. Like I said, if something seriously really fucking happened and a cop showed up at my door with 3 or 4 people and said, look, we have no place to take them. Can you take them in and give them some warm soup? Because it's fucking crazy out here. I take them in, people, because I'm prepared to take people in anyway. I wasn't just doing food prep for my own family. I was doing food prep for the ones that fell through the cracks, which puts me in a good position with the government because then I don't become so much of a burden, right? The only problem is, for whatever fucking reason, my government and their employees see me as the freaking threat of the century because they can't say they don't fucking gang stalk my family. So, I'm going to do productive things today, okay? Doesn't matter what the day is like. I'm going to accomplish something. So, turning off this video, and I'm going to strain my peaches, okay? And I'm going to fill up my jars with peaches, yogurt, and then I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to put them in Auntie ShaMay's freezer, and I'm going to freeze them. And I'm going to grab another bag of carrots, and I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to shred them, and then I'm going to dehydrate them. And then maybe I'll fold laundry. It's already been washed and hung up and dry. And do my dishes. Amari will come home. And don't ever think that this stuff, like, you know, is not hard to stay focused on. You have to just make yourself stay focused on it. Okay? You know, no matter how depressed you are. Yes, you can curl up in a ball for a day, maybe 2. But you gotta bounce back, people. No matter what, you have to bounce back. So this is me bouncing back. You can see what I'm doing here, right? Doesn't that look good? Oh boy. Right? Yeah. And then this juice, well, you know, maybe what I'll do with the juice, just for the sake of it, I might just put them in little containers or jars or something and freeze as is, and then later on at a later date, because it's very mild, because it's just pear juice, right? And then later on at a later date, what do you call it? I'll, what is it called? Maybe put it in Jello or something, you know? Jello? Maybe. Or you put it in juice, right? You could mix there's an idea. I can take, there's not very much juice here, but I can actually, I don't know. I'm just going to freeze it more than likely, and then I'll incorporate it into other juices, right? So, yeah, right? Just grab up all these little containers, start filling them up. You can find little things that you can do to build in that food security. Does it matter if it's dehydrating onions or if it's making yogurt, right? Okay, so what I've done is I've taken my little blender here, you can see, right? And I've blended this up for amari. And I'm putting it now in that yogurt that I just opened up, and I'm going to mix it up all up in there, right? Because, you know, make it so that when you use it, it's convenient. And remember when I did those almonds, right? Because, you know, late, right? So I'm going to just put a little bit of that, and because it's sitting in moisture even before it freezes, I'm not going to put very much, just maybe about that much. And then I'm going to mix this around, and then as it sits, right, those nuts are going to absorb the moisture, right? Which is good for amari, right? So, you can see, this is just the kind of video I'm doing, people, okay? Alright? I'm going into my comfort zone. Do you see what's happening here? This is a dessert, well, not a dessert, this is yogurt for amari. Okay, the one with the peaches whole, right, I'm going to put more peaches in there. And if I wanted to, I could put even a little bit of syrup, maple syrup. I might, just to add flavor into it, right? Yeah, it needs more peaches. Hold on. Okay, as you can see, for amari, or a baby, for that matter, or an elderly who doesn't have teeth, this would be perfect. Right? So now, I'm going to just fill up as is, and then I'm going to freeze it. And then, this is how you build in food security, especially under crises. Right? It's amazing what you can do under crises and become resourceful. Alright? So, look at that. Look at that. Do you see? That is good. Let me taste it, because I added in another one of those, right? Tastes like peaches. And then, when it unthaws, you can always add in a little extra sugar. Like, if Mari doesn't like it, right? If you notice, I've got maple flakes here. Okay? Those are really good. I'm not going to put those in there right now. I'm just going to leave it as is and just see if he'll eat it like that. But if not, then I can add in a little extra syrup or maple flakes or just plain old white sugar. That's about all you want, because you want to make sure when you freeze it that it can rise, right? So hold on a minute. Okay, so I did 6 with amari, right? So I'll save this for him for today. You can see what I'm doing here, right? This is for Andre or Tisha or whoever, right? I don't know if Marcane wants to eat, but these are the yogurts that I liked, right? In terms of, hold on, trying to open up the lid. Right, you can see it's looking pretty good, right? And then, well, you can't really see, but anyway. After I'm done this yogurt, people, I think I'm just gonna upload this. And I don't know what to think right now. I don't want to imagine things in terms of, oh my God, what happened, right? And then you just take your yogurt and then just pour it over top of the other yogurt. I mean, like your fruit. You just take it and pour it over top, right? And you just kind of go down the assembly line until you have no more yogurt left. Top it off, cover it up, and you freeze it just like that. So you have the choice of either blending it or going from container to container and covering up the fruit. You can use any kind of filler that you want. It doesn't have to be peaches. That can, I'm telling you, been sitting around since 2013, 14, because it used to get in the way in here. It's always been kicking around on the floor. Right? Back in the good old days when I was doing food prep, right? I had my car on the road, so it was easier for me to go to different stores and find things on sale, right? And that just happened to be one of them. That's why I don't throw out those black beans, because those black beans in that can are probably still pretty good. And it wouldn't take much to make a bunch of burritos with my son, because he likes to do stuff like that with me. Wrap them up and freeze them, and then, you know, just chow down, right? So now I'm down to, when you do this, you kind of have to work fast though, right? Because it's yogurt. You don't want to keep it out very, very long. I've got 2 more of these, as is, left in the fridge. Little bit more peaches. So this is like working out perfect, people, in terms of quantity. Is there peaches in this one? Oops, no. What am I doing? Not paying attention. Not paying attention, people. 1, I'm rushing. And 2, yeah, I'm just a little nervous, right? So this is how you do it. You take your peaches and you put them in a jar. Any kind of jar. Right? Any amount you want. It doesn't matter. And then you take your yogurt that you've already made, that's been in the fridge, and you just pour it on top. Pretty simple directions. Right? I don't think there's anything in this one. Nope. Pour it on top. And then take your lids, put them back on, right? And throw them immediately into the freezer. Okay? That's what you do. And then they're good. They say 2 to 3 months, but it will last longer than that, but that's okay. And then you go and you quickly run to your freezer. And you throw them in the freezer. Here's my green tomatoes. Right. Take out this bread. If you've got old bread kicking around, you can always unthaw it and air dry it and make breadcrumbs or croutons. Right? This is not the time to be wasting food. Breadcrumbs are always nice to have because they're fillers. Right? Do you see how fast I'm going? Okay, after I do this, you don't need to see me. What is it called? What is that called? Shred carrots, okay? You know I'm going to be shredding carrots, right? At some point, I'm going to fold some laundry because I've already washed it. I like to wash my clothes upstairs and then I hang them up on coat hangers all over the place, right? And then we've got 2 more. And because I've already got yogurt in the fridge that needs to be eaten up, I'm not going to worry about this, right? But although I'm kind of forgetting what I'm doing here, so yeah, right? So just freeze each one the best way you know how. Just go through the assembly line, right? And then when you're done, you're going to thank yourself for it. And you won't be so scared when, like what's happening right now in society, you know, being expected to stay home and not being able to go out and work, right? Waiting for a check in the mail because your government says it's going to give you one, right? You know, for some people that's okay, but most people, you know, no, that doesn't work like that for them. Did I put peaches in this one? Oh, yeah. So this one's already got peaches. So put a cap on that one. Just reuse with the same caps. Alright, whatever. Here's a cap. See how I'm forgetting what I'm doing? So double check that your fruit's in there. Okay, that's good. Right, so those 2 are done. I'll just move that. Can you tell I'm nervous? That one's done. Right, there's another one. We're almost near the end here, people. I'm glad I did it. Oh, I dragged my feet on it, though. I didn't want to make this yogurt. Just so did not. Okay, that one's done. That one's got fruit in it. But I'm like, don't be stupid, right? You're going to thank yourself after the fact, right? You're going to need it just in case. It's not like you're doing a bad thing. Nothing bad about what you're doing here. You got the milk, right? You bought it for that purpose. talk yourself into it. Instead of talking yourself out of it, you talk yourself into it, so that when you get to the tail end of it, like I am right now, you'll be like, damn, I'm glad I did that. I'm so glad I did that. Right? So this is the last one. Did I do this one? See? Alright, how am I supposed to type if I don't even know what I'm doing? Yeah, that one has... I can't type. Can't type nothing right now. Notice how that guy got a lawyer. Notice how I don't have one. Right? So... I never have a lawyer. Just Paul. So that's the only lawyer I've ever had. Good old Paul. Paul's a good guy. Does the best he can. He's like part of the family. He really is. My kids really loved Paul, actually. ShaMay really liked Paul. Okay, there we go. 5 more. Now I'm going to put them in the freezer. And then I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to upload this video. Okay, so for now, right? So I have, remember, I've got some of these downstairs already with the first batch, okay? And now this is what I've done with the peaches. You can see 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh my God. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I see 20 in here. Okay, from this batch. All right? And then, of course, I've got the first batch still downstairs. Although I think 2 of them from the first batch are up here. So we'll just say 18. So I did 18 yogurts with, what is it called? The peaches. And all in all, it probably costed me, if I had to put a dollar value on it, people, I mean, what was it? It was 8 cups of milk, right? Which wasn't even a gallon. Like, it wasn't even a jug of milk. 8 cups of milk, a few tablespoons of old yogurt that had been sitting there. I wasn't even too sure if it was going to work, but it did. And a can of peaches that had been kicking around, literally, people. If you were to ask Tisha how long, or even Marcane, how long that can of peaches had been kicking around on this floor, it's like just shimming around. It's been there for, well, probably 6, 7 years. Uncle John there's Uncle John's chair right up in that corner. That can used to be up in here all the time. Just never got around to it. Was waiting for an emergency. Well, the emergency came, and it came in handy. So, you know, that tells you something. So that can, I think I only paid like $3 or $4. That's why I bought it, people. Because it was a big can of peaches at some discount warehouse center in terms of liquidation, right? With whatever they have, you know those places. And the can itself was like $3, $4. So what did I spend? $6 for 18 yogurts? That's pretty good financing. Right? So I'm going to end it now because now it's cleanup. And, you know, I'm going to, what is it called? Shred carrots and continue doing that. And then I had to take out bread. So I'll put that in the fridge. Don't leave it out, right? Put it in the fridge. It will last longer. You know, or if, whatever, if you got old bread and you don't know what to do with it, you can dehydrate it. This is kind of old because it's been sitting in the freezer for a long time, but I'll leave it out for a while. See who wants to eat it. Okay, I'm going to end this video now, people, and I'm going to just, unless something major fucking happens, you're not going to hear from me for the rest of the day. Okay?